From Ragnarok to Lost Colony, we've got a lot of new features and content in the last update, including the Drakeling. But is the Drakeling any good? Hello Dodo crew and welcome back to another video on Ark Survival Ascended. Grab a bottle of water and let's get straight into it. Currently, you can find the Drakeling only on Ragnarok, meaning you cannot tame it on any other map. It has 4 different forms and each form can be found in a different location. Winter Drakelings usually hang around the snowy mountains, spring Drakelings can be found around Vikings Bay, summer Drakelings appear on the left side of the map, and autumn Drakelings are south of the snowy mountains. In my opinion, they are super hard to spot because they are really small and fly around a lot, which makes them super hard to see. However, they are somewhat rare right now because some players have trouble spawning the Drakeling, but with a gene scanner you can still find one. If you're playing on single player, you should either go for a meat run or do a creature reset. Taming them isn't that hard, but it's funny and overall they're super useful, but more on that later. These are the regions where I found Drakelings. For those who do not want to search for a Drakeling, I put the spawn commands in the video description, just fill in the level you want and you're good to go. Taming a Drakeling requires some preparation, but it's fairly straightforward once you get the hang of it. All of the 4 Drakeling variants are tamed the same. Firstly, you need a torch to attract the Drakeling. You will also need a few good weapons, such as a pump gun or a sniper rifle. You also need exceptional kibble, which you place in your 0 slot of your hotbar. If you're not carrying a torch, a message will always appear that the Drakeling does not want to be fed by you and you cannot tame it. Once you have your torch, get close to the Drakeling and it will then sit on your shoulder. From this point on, the taming process begins. You will be shown a taming progress bar, an effectiveness and a timer. In order to be tamed, the Drakeling now wants to collect experience points. To do this, you must kill other creatures to fill up the Drakeling's experience bar. When the bar is full, the Drakeling wants to eat kibble. After you have fed it the kibble, the whole process starts all over again. However, your Drakeling may now want something else from you. For example, he might want you to gain experience by harvesting resources or crafting items, so you should be prepared for that. Depending on where you had to gain the experience from, it has different preferred food. As soon as I know all the facts about that, I will add a comment explaining all the experience and food relations. And just to note it, they are cross-breedable, but they do not combine abilities. This means you only get one of the bred variants. The Drakeling adds some new abilities to the game, making it especially useful and a must tame from early on. From now on, literally everyone needs or wants a Drakeling. Drakelings are rather complex creatures, because they have multiple different abilities. If I miss something, I will add it later in a comment or make a second video on that. First things first, we need to differentiate in this area. Drakelings have different forms and these forms have different new abilities in addition to the general abilities. First, we will talk about the abilities that all Drakelings have in common, and then we will talk about the abilities of the individual forms. When holding R on PC while your Drakeling is sitting on your shoulder, you can navigate to it and enable the slow fall ability. Slow fall helps you significantly reduce fall damage when dropping from high places. When you run around with any of the variant and kill creatures, harvest resources or craft stuff, it collects and stores experience. If you now make a special attack on your creature, you transfer the stored experience to your creature. A good idea is for example breeding carchas and then killing the babies, taking the experience and transferring them into your creatures you want to level up. If you are in the biome of the corresponding Drakeling, in addition you get a 10% experience buff and a 10% loot quality buff, which ensures that you get better equipment and items when you kill creatures or open beacons. If you do stuff with your Drakeling, for example if you have it on your shoulder when you kill other creatures, you will receive Dragon Horde keys from time to time, which work like treasure maps. This means they ping you a location somewhere on the map where you can now find loot. And you absolutely have to loot these things. Even in blue crates, there is sometimes so much loot. And it will for sure get patched because the loot is simply too good. So from here on, I will talk about the abilities of the seasonal forms. The spring variant gives you a health regeneration buff and a stamina consumption reduction. It can therefore be used quite well in combat. The summer variant can have a special attack that gives your creatures a 10% movement speed buff and a minus 25% CC reduction. As long as you have the autumn variant on your shoulder, you get a 5% damage buff and a 15% harvest increase buff, which lets you collect more resources overall. I actually like the winter variant the most. This gives 100 insulation and a 10% damage resistance buff, which can also be transferred to creatures. This means you can now buff your creatures again when raiding if you want. This is a tough one. I love the design of the Drakelings and I think all of them have solid abilities and stats. That said, I'm not entirely sure what role they are meant to fill. In my opinion, the experience transferability is the most useful, since it lets you recycle failed breeds and pass their experience on to other creatures that need it. Buffs are buffs and we love buffs, and overall they're decent creatures. I hope you'll like this video, and I'm thrilled to read if this video has helped you. Hit the like button, leave a comment below for the algorithm and consider subbing to the channel. Alright, Frodo.